One of the many unfortunate results of European colonialism in Africa is the meddling in local affairs and imposition of power alliances that advantage certain ethnic groups and disadvantage others. After almost a century of German and Belgian manipulation in Rwanda, local ethnic resentment boiled over in 1994, creating horrific killings, rape, and terror for millions of Rwandans. Our next guest experienced terrifying displacement in his childhood, spent time in a refugee camp, before finally being resettled in Portage, Michigan. Augie Nsambimana has written a book about his experience called See You in Heaven, and is here to tell us his story. Augie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for the invite.
Yeah, did I do okay with your name?
Yeah, you did pretty good. Can't complain.
Thank you. I
welcome.
don't speak Lingala as my first language, so.
That's okay.
Yeah,
You can go through it.
Okay, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
So
You are now a student at KVCC, Kalamazoo Valley Community College, and what are you studying?
I'm studying nursing.
Okay.
Yeah, I find it interesting to care for people. So yeah, just for nursing.
Okay, and how are your studies going?
Pretty good. So
Okay.
far so good.
Okay.
I'm glad. I'm happy. Work hard, busy.
Did you say you're also studying?
International relations.
Okay, so what motivated you? Because those aren't two subjects that we normally pair together in a curriculum.
Yeah, well, I like international relations because I want someday to be able to work with Red Cross or UNHCR. So
Doctors Without Borders.
yes, to help people across the world.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
And
the plan.
as I mentioned in our introduction, you have a special place in your heart for people who are living under those conditions because that was your life.
Yes. I've been through a lot of things. I've been through a lot, and I was helped by people who cared enough. So, and I feel like I should be doing something for people because in this world has a lot of problems, and I feel like I owe the world a lot to make it a better place.
Sure. So if we're going back 2 decades or so in your life, you were almost 7 years old,
Yeah.
and then some really horrible things happened. What you were very young at that time. What do you remember from those days?
Well, I remember a lot. When we're kids, we see things, we think it's never going to matter in future. But now I'm grown, I think about a lot. Before the war, life was really good. Had a family, a very extended family. But when the war came and things just changed like that, with no plans, that when the president of Rwanda was shot and was killed. And
His airplane actually was shot down.
Yeah, in April 1994. So then things changed, and things never been the same again.
Sure,
So,
sure. I think as growing up as children, we tend to live in somewhat of a naive existence. But then when you have war and killing, and then you're on the move, I think it changes your...
yeah, you grow really quick when in these conditions. Because after the war came, I didn't get to see my dad that often because he was busy, tried to get us in safe places every day, then we fled. Actually, the 7th of 1994, we left my house. We stayed at my uncle's house for like one night, and there was so much noise of weapons and grenades and people screaming, and so we decided to leave for a better safe place. And then so went there. We stayed for like about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then we came back home for a little bit. Then we stayed home. We stayed home for maybe 2 months or less. So then we went to Gitarama to my parents, because that's where my parents were from. We stayed to Gitarama for, I don't know really exactly how long we stayed there. But the RPF, the rebels, were progressing.
from the north of Rwanda,
yeah.
southward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we decided to leave the Gitarama place. So at the Gitarama, we could hear a lot of weapons because that was our last family installation. So after there, we there was no other place to stay but or to go. It was just flee without knowing where you going. We were going, you know. So then we went. Then we crossed to I think Kibuye, which was hard because the people there they don't really like it. People from Gitarama, they tried to assassinate, to kill me because they said I was a Tutsi and me and my older sister. But one of our cousin who was there, he saved us, and then we stayed there for like one night, and then we kept moving. So and we never went again.
So, Augie, I understand that these sorts of situations are really horrific. They're the things that we don't even imagine, and yet you were living through that. Can you tell us about some of the scarier parts of that for you?
Man, there's a lot of things that scared me, and today sometimes I have nightmares when every time I think about it, or I just a reflection of all these things I saw. I saw dead people, dead kids, who just like I seen decomposed bodies. I seen people chopped off, like their head chopped off. And the only thing that was going through my mind, what gave me the motivation actually to move and to run as fast as I could, was just be like, I might be next, because we had an enemy that had no mercy. Mm-hmm. It was you run or you die. So those are the only options we had, and many people didn't make it out, and I think I was lucky. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
And lots of people were unlucky.
There are a lot of people, yes. I have cousins and who never made it out. Mm. I have a cousin, two cousins of mine who were living in Goma, in the refugee camps of Goma. When the camps were attacked by Rwanda and Burundi and Uganda, we never knew what happened to them. We never found out. But all I know is that one of the brothers made out. He lives in South Africa right now. He told me that he heard that they were raped and murdered, so they never made it out. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's.
So going back to your story, so when you left Rwanda, you crossed into the DRC.
Yes.
And is that when you entered the refugee camp in Inela?
Well, before we crossed the DRC at the borders at Bukavu. So from Rwanda to Bukavu, because that's where we crossed. We had the UN peacekeepers who were there. Mm-hmm. They stopped us from crossing to DRC.
Because?
Because they just didn't want us to go. And then
they're supposed to be there to protect you.
Yeah, they didn't do nothing. Personally, I didn't see anything that they did for me.
So what is the composition of the typical UN security forces? Are they mostly local from neighboring countries?
I think we had some of them who came from Senegal, Zambia, I think. Okay. That's how, so far. That's how. And then we had some French, but the French soldiers were leaving already. Okay. So we saw the last French soldiers leaving. So that one was our chance. We were trying to cross when the French soldiers were still there. But when we got to the borders, because we were walking all that time, mm-hmm. So when we got to the borders, well, it was too late. So they were all gone, and they had new peacekeepers there, and they were preventing us from crossing. And I remember that image vividly. Tons of people, like we were just like little bugs, like trying to cross. Everybody was trying to cross.
Just massing, swarming.
Yeah, and with the things on the head, you carrying things. And they were shooting in the air when we tried to cross, so people would run back again, and a lot of people died. Kids who couldn't run perished. And then my brother and I, we decided to cross through Lake Kivu. And I remember we paid men to cross us on a two banana tree tied together.
Okay.
So we sat on it. I remember that I was holding him, and we crossed that. That's how we crossed in the middle of the night.
Wow.
And then once we got up to the other side. I don't think we were welcomed because we had Congolese soldiers who took anything we had. No. Yeah. So then we went to Bukavu, and then my brother, the next day he came back to Rwanda to get my family, because at that time we were separated from my dad. he came back, he got them, and we left. So we went to Bukavu, and from Bukavu, we walked to Inela. So
And
but
how long were you in the refugee camp then?
when the refugee camp from '94 to I think in November 2nd, before the refugee camp was attacked by the
So
RPF.
roughly 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
is that the point where you were taken in by yeah, the
UN?
immigration U.S. Immigration Services?
No, no, not even close. From the refugee camps, when we were attacked, I remember it was November 2nd, 1996. And I remember that scene because we were ready. We kind of knew all refugee camps around us, around our refugee camp, they were all destroyed. But because Inela was close to Kashusha, that was another huge refugee camp, right next to each other. And the other one was Adikivu, which was once like a medical facility place. We all fled at the same time. It was like millions of people running because when the refugee camp was attacked, like around 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning, we all ran. So we were ready to run, but we just didn't know where to go. So we sat there waiting till they started shooting at us. So then we ran. We ran like from 9 o'clock. From 9 o'clock, we just ran. We ran through the fields of people who, like, I remember there were like corns and beans. We destroyed all of it. We destroyed, like, we just ran people. If you were sick, it was too bad for you.
You were running for your life.
Yes, and people running with hot stuff in your head, food. We had to get some food. And kids were screaming everywhere because we were separated from their parents. So we ran from that time, 9 o'clock, to like, I don't know, to like maybe 10 o'clock at p.m. And it was raining. In the middle of the running, it started raining, and yeah, it was horrible. So.
Our time is drawing short, and I want to talk a little bit about your book because you've written a book, and it's going to be published in a little bit, so we want to get the word out. It's called See You in Heaven. What's the title about?
Well, See You in Heaven, well, first of all, Rwanda has like what, 90% of the Christians. So with all troubles and misery we went through, all the things we've been through, people will say, see you in heaven. Because every step could be the last. And to many people, that's how it was. So people would just be like, okay, if I don't see you again, see you in heaven. And I remember, because my brother who pretty much raised me, and he was like maybe 15, and he took care of me, and I really remember then. I remember he telling me that because I was the only little brother, he said, if I don't see you in heaven, but make sure you take care of the family. And I was really young, I really didn't know what he meant by that.
My goodness.
Then we never saw him again, so to now.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and so many people just say, see you in heaven.
So you were eventually resettled in Portage, Michigan, through the help of, well, Immigration Services got you here, and then a local United Church of Christ sponsored you in Portage and helped you get resettled. Right now there is a controversy. A lot of people on the national scene don't want to let this latest wave of refugees, they happen to be from Syria, into the country. What perspective do you have to offer to that conversation?
You know, war has no friend, and nobody chooses to be a refugee. Nobody chooses to just get up in the morning and leave all they have been working for, for so long, and leave your home. And refugees people go through a lot of things, and I personally would say just let all of them come here as long as they're safe for all of us. Because I've been discriminated by so many people. I've been to a lot of countries illegally, but some places, some people will be like, no, we don't want you here. And it'll be like, I have no other places to go. I can't go back home. I don't even know where it is. And so I just think people need to help people and get through it, So it's not easy, and I think nobody will choose to leave their home. So.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to have to leave it there at that. But I want to thank you for coming by the studio and sharing your story. I look forward to reading your book very much.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
and hope to share that with some others so that they can begin to understand what's behind your life and by extension so many others.
Well,
So thank you so
thank
much.
you. No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
From the beginning of my life, I have thought of difference as a source of strength for communities and not as a weakness. I thought I've always felt like our Indian heritage brought something to America rather than taking something